the microbial cell try to maintain the intracellular pH, or we call that the internal pH. Okay, so the pH. Okay, pH IE here is not like it's not the isoelectric point, guys. Here, this one in abbreviation for the intracellular, or we call that internal. Okay, so above of some critical pH, this means that they try to maintain near the neutral pH that we already observed in several microorganisms already. Okay, so how can they maintain inside pH? How can they do that? So the first, so they say that homeostatic response. This one homeostatic is mean that like they sensing, they sensing for the change. So they got the mechanism to bring it back. Okay, so whether they low or whether they high, so they try to bring into the range where they adapt. Okay, so in our human body also we can adjust for a lot of the homeostatic response. Example like the cholesterol or some other thing like the sugars in the blood. Example. So the way very similar with the microorganisms, so that they change their own, to maintain in the internal pH. So what they do, they increase the activity of the proton pump. Okay, the pump here, and when the outside pH, pH always means outside over than 6. So if the outside environment they got the pH value of around 6. So right now, inside and outside not much difference. Okay, and then they do the first mechanism. Okay, understand, guys? So the second one, they can generate for the acid tolerance response. We call that the ATR. Okay, they induce more protein involved in the ATPase. This one also like one kind of the making of the ATPs. Okay, so they're not using for making the ATP, but they are trying to using the pumping of the protons. Okay, when the pH outside environment ranging from 5.5 to 6. Okay, so they make more to do the correction. Okay, here 5.5 compared to 7. So this one should be like more than 10 times, right? 10 times in acidity. Okay. Okay, so the next mechanism that they can try to using the acid shock proteins. So another protein. So they can induce special proteins. They can support for the survival of the cell when the outside pH very low, around like 3 to 5. Okay. So right now, increase for the survival. So can you guys guess this one, like this state, the role, how the role increase or decrease?
Yeah.
The role. Okay. Two concepts that is totally different, that the survival and the role. Okay, so right now
I think the growth will decrease.
Yes.
To understand the survival.
Yes, the growth will decrease. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so they increase the survival, so they try to maintain their supply. Okay, and then the growth is minimized. Okay, in that case, so we achieve our purpose. Okay, that like three mechanism. Okay, it depends on like the outside pH. Okay? So when we apply outside pH, okay, the outside pH around like example 4, okay, around 4. Okay, so right now maybe the microorganism cell they can induce several like special protein to support the survival, but then they cannot using this one and this one because that's too much difference. Okay, in the pumping of the H plus out. So if we're using another, like we got the low pH already, then we also apply for the weak acid. Okay, the weak acid also they generate more H plus inside. See that like the profile effects on the microorganisms, okay, because of two things. So the first, the outside environment is low in pH, and also they can change inside the cell pH when we apply another acid, okay. So that they have profile effects on the microorganisms. Okay, so the stationary phase cell more tolerant to low pH. Okay. This concept is not really new, but you guys already know that, like we got like previously, we mentioned about like the temperature. Okay, we mentioned about the temperature, so that like when we try to do the heat treatment, it's not very wisely to apply in the state contact like stationary phase, because in that state the cell more tolerant, okay, to the temperature. But right now, not only it's about temperature, but also about like low pH value. Okay. Okay, so cells may employ for proteases. Okay, so some like like proteinase. And then the chaperonase. So this one like one kind of like making like the mold for helping the protein they folding in the proper way. So right now they can like control the protein damage. Okay, so we already know about this one in the heat shock. Okay? As well, they can perform specialized enzymatic reaction. Example, something I explained for you guys here. So this one inside, okay, inside the cell membrane. Right now they change in the low pH already. So what they try to do, okay, they increase more the ATPase. Okay, so this one they pump out the H plus. Okay, that's the first response. The second one, like inside here, some like the malate and the lactase system. Because that the malolactase system also can be effects. So when they can pump in and out of the, so here they try to use the H plus, okay. So they try to make more lactase, and after that they expel lactate out. So another mechanism. Here some involved in the arginines and ornithines, okay, and this one involved in like the amination system. We're going to arginines deaminase system, okay. So involved in some breaking down of the amino acid, okay, and what amino acid we can use for the role of the bacteria on microorganisms. Okay, right now they can using for other purpose. They can be breaking down, so they can effects. Okay, so the response from the microorganism. Okay, we already observed. Okay, and then several concepts before you guys to understand. I want to recap information here for you guys as well. So when we change the inside, okay, so they change in the lower pH, so they can cause for the hydrolysis of the nucleic acid. Okay, this one they can cause for the damage for the membrane structure and protein, disruption of iron transition gradient across the cell membrane. Okay, so general concept here and more detailed explanation already mentioned for you guys. And now we move on what kind of the food, okay, classification. The act of food and the microbial behaviors. So the food can be grouped as several groups, okay. Low acid food. Low acid is mean not much acid in the content. Okay, we got the pH value over 5.2. Okay, so the medium acid food, again, about like 5.2 to 4.6. So the acid food, pH like 4.6 to 4. Okay, so the key point here, 4.6. Okay, so according to the US FDA, okay, and USDA. So if any food, right, they got the BX over 4.6, and then considering that like the low acid food, okay, if the low acid food, and then like the treatment is different because they subject to contamination very easy, okay. So the key concept here around 4.6, keep in mind, okay. So the acid food here, the range is between like 4 to 4.6. So the high acid food, you got the BX value below 4. It means very strong in the acid in the content of the food. So that's like low BH. Okay, so 4.6 is the key. Okay, so keep in mind 4.6 very special number regarding to the BH value. Okay. So that reason why here they mentioned about like 4.6. Okay, so here the ranging from 0 to 14. Okay, see that guys? Example here. Certain type of the fruit. Okay, example like the fruit juice. Normally they drop between like 2 to 4%. It means that the fruit juice likely, you know, like considering that like the acid food. Okay, tomato products, you normally like near, you know, the boundary of the 4.6. Okay, so these okay for reservation. So we call that like acid food. Okay, and if they drop to 4 between, you know, like here this point. Okay, so we can high acid food. Okay, so the range here should be like no growth of the pathogens. So like pathogens not grow. That's good. Okay, so if you try to control for the pathogens, and then one way we try to reduce the pH value. Okay, 4.6. Keep in mind below 4.6, and then no pathogens. Okay, this concept is very important because they apply in the food industry and the reservation when applied for the treatment of the food. Okay, sometimes the people using the acidification, it means they add the acid into the high pH food. Okay, or that's a low acid food. Okay, so they add more acid into the low acid food. So we make the acidified food. We make the acidified food. Okay, we can like add the more acid in. We can also mix with the strong acid food. Okay, high acid food. Okay, we can mix with the low acid food, and after that, like we can reduce the pH value lower than 4.6. And in that case, the concept that we already use, that we call that the acidification, which means we already acidify our food into the safe state of the free of the pathogens, okay, no row of the pathogens. But the spoilage, okay, the spoilage microorganisms still okay for working. So considering like, you know, the pathogen is trying to maintain below 4.6. Okay, so some of the fruit, okay, is got like low acid food. Example, you got like here the milk, okay, the milk that's around like, you know, like 6 point something. Vegetable juices. See this one totally from the fruit juice. Okay, so they make from plants, but this one like higher pH. Okay, and then subject to the reservation is different. Okay, and also like treatment also different. Okay, the meat, the vegetable, and the soup also like, you know, around like 5 to 6 something. Okay, so the food we should be very carefully, very careful, because the pathogens can grow. Okay, so these we find out the low acid food, they contain not much in the acid in their content. Okay, and so that we should very carefully when handling these food, because we got the probability of growing of the pathogens. Okay, that's the concept. Okay, and then we're considering like the three groups that very significant in the food preservation, that the mold, the yeast, and the bacteria. Okay, so this one, the mold, they can grow from 2 to this one almost 11. Okay, that wide range. Okay, and the optimum pH for them, it should be around 6, less than 6 a little bit. For the bacteria, that's different. Okay, the bacteria is they can grow between around like 2 point something to 9. Okay, the optimum pH, it should be around like 7.5. Okay, more neutral, more alkaline. But for the yeast, see that even the lower pH than the mold, they can resist to the very low pH here, and they got the range up to 8 point something. Okay, so the range for the yeast and the optimum pH for them should be around very similar with the molds, around like 5 point something to 6. Okay. Okay, so question here. So do you guys think if we got the products, is the milk, right? The food is the milk. Do you think the milk is subjected to be spoiled by how many roots of the microorganisms? Milk. How many roots of them? They're prone to be spoiled, or they hard to be spoiled. Any idea? Milk? Here?
I think it's subject to the whole 3 groups.
Yeah, all 3 groups. And do you think that like the spoil, the role of the bacteria, yeast, and the mold is optimum for their role in the milk environment? Yes or no?
I think that in that product, in this case is milk, the bacteria will be the
Yeah, but bacteria, yeah, more referred by the bacteria, right?
yes.
Okay. But then mold and yeast also can grow. Okay. So this slide, okay, so for you guys to think about pH and root of the microorganisms, okay, and then you can determine whether what kind of the reservation measure that we should apply, okay, to extend the shelf life of the food product. Okay, so pH value of the food, okay, some of them. So vegetables, and then the fruit. Here you see that most of the fruit, okay, they got low pH, okay, except for here, honeydew, melons, this one. And that one case of in Australia. So the rock melon also they got subjected to the salmonella contamination, and they call for the foodborne outbreak, okay, caused by consumption of the melons. That's pH here. For the vegetable product, it's likely higher pH. We're already in the root of, most likely they're in the root of the low acid. low acid food. So between the fruit and vegetable, that's different. Okay. Still remember this one, guys? Anderson-Hansberg equation. Okay.
Yes.
We got the Ka, and then like we're solving for this one already, and we got like the Bx equal to the Bka log for the A plus A minus divided by the concentration of HH. Okay, this one already explained for you guys. Alright. So we based on this one, and we can explain, we can predict whether how much of the acid in the form of the acid or in the form of ions. Okay, and after that, like, we can predict for the effectiveness of the acid when applied in the food preservation. So food preservation with acids. So when Bh equal to Bka, 50% is in acid. So we'll come back here. So this one should be 0. Okay, 0 is mean this one equal to 1. Okay, and then Bx equal to the Bka. So 50% of them in acid and 50% in ions. Okay, so when the Bh over the Bk, the proportion of the Ha decrease. This means not much in the acid, more ions. Okay, the dissociation increase. When the Bh less than the Bka, low Bh, the proportion of Ha is increased. Okay, and dissociation increase or decrease. Here, dissociation increase or decrease.
I think it's increased.
No, here, when the Bh less than the Bka.
Oh, then it decreased, teacher.
Yeah, this decrease. Okay, so when the Bh equal to the Bka plus 1. Okay, predict. Okay, this one more acid or more ions, and then predict for effectiveness of using of the acid for the preservation when Bh equal to Bka plus 1. Okay, so you guys have thinking here. Okay, Bx equal to Bka plus 1 is mean that Bx over or less than the Bka.
It's mean over.
Yeah, over, right? Over, and is it they keep more in acid or more in ions? Over is mean this one
Over
decrease.
is mean, more ions.
Yeah, more ions, less acid. So effectiveness of using this acid is good or not good?
I think it's good for preservations by adding acids.
Okay, so the concept here, you guys just think, yeah. This one, okay, if this one over, okay, so this one only can pass through the membrane, okay, but here very less, okay, more ions, okay, so it means less acid pass through the membrane, okay, less acid pass through the membrane means not much H plus generate inside the cell. In that case, we cannot change much of the pH inside the cell, and then not effective. Okay, once again, if pH over the pKa, okay, here. So less acid, right? More ions. Ions cannot pass through. the membrane of the microbial cell. Only the acid they can pass through. Here, less acid, it means very less of them they can pass through, and then they already pass inside the cell, okay? So now they continue to dissociate. So because of very less of the acid inside, so that like not much hot flush when they dissociate, so that they cannot change much in the pH value inside the cell, and that not effective. Okay, so you guys keep, okay, should be clearly, okay, you know, like get the concept so that like later on you can explain. So can we control the pH for inhibiting of the microbial growth? And the answer is yes, we can do that. All right. So we got the acid here, we got the pKa, okay. So some of them like they got like because they got like they can like dissociate in 3 different of the acid groups, okay. Like acetic acid they containing for 3 carboxyl groups, okay. So sometimes they got like 1 pKa, okay, and some of them have 2 or 3. Okay, so you got the acid here, okay. You got the pKa here, and now we can predict. Right? So based on this table, okay, please predict the effectiveness using the lactic acid for the microbial growth if the pH of live food is 5. Okay, so lactic acid, and if we got the pH value of the food is 5, so please indicate for the effectiveness and the reason why. So please explain. Okay. So I give you a few minutes here. You can discuss with your friends. After that, like you can answer. This one very practical. Okay. This one practical in the food preservation. Okay. So any ideas, guys? Can you guys predict for the effectiveness?
I think the sulfurous at 6.9 and the phosphorus at 7.12 and also the carbonic as 6.37, citric at 6.39 will effective in treating this food.
Okay, so when we use the lactic acid, okay, so the concept here asking you guys lactic acid. Okay, so you guys, what is the pKa of the lactic acid?
I think that in the case we use lactic acid is will be more effective.
Ah, so this one, right? You got the pKa and the pH here, 5. Okay, so in this case, pH over or less than pKa.
It's larger than pKa.
Yeah, pH over a pKa. Okay. So in this case, more acid or more ions? So lactic
It's more dissociations.
Yeah, more dissociation is mean more ions. Okay, so the ions can pass through the membrane or not?
No, teacher.
No, it means that like more ions. Okay, but then they cannot pass through, and then we can say that not effective. Okay, So understand, guys?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So the concept here important. Okay. So could you guys please, okay, if you can indicate, okay, indicate one acid. Okay. So which one you guys think? Okay. If you pick between these, D4. Okay. If you have four choices. Okay. So which one do you think the most appropriate to apply based on the BKA?
I think I will choose the acids with the pKa value higher than 5 but smaller than 7.
Yeah, but if we got four choices here, okay, here. So which one do you think is suitable for this kind of food?
The propionic.
Yeah, propionic. So we got a BKA 4.87. This one, you know, even like the BX of the food is higher than the BKA, but then like very close on together. It means that we can increase in the proportion of the acid. Okay, so that like nearly 50%. Okay, and then like like more propionic acid, they can enter the cell. Okay, inside the cell right now, so they got like the BX of 7, right, around 7. So the propionic acid then dissociate more into the H plus and then effect on the internal pH of the cell. Okay, so the concept is that. Okay, right? Any question from here?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So I just want to confirm that the pH in this case is the pH of the food, right?
Yeah.
Not the pH of the acid.
So this one, the pH of the 5 is the pH of the environment. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you should know two values, okay, and determine whether like the acid you apply it should be in the acid or in the ions, okay. So you need to determine for the pH value of the environment. Here you got like 5, that's the environment 5, okay, and you got the BKA here, lactic acid very low, okay. So pH over than the BKA. Okay, so if right now if you use the lactic acid, okay, you add the lactic acid in, so they will dissociate more, okay, into ions. So that like is not a good choice. So we try, yeah, right.
What if we use the acid that have the 3 or 2 different pKa?
You mean like 2 units, 3 units different in the pH value?
I mean that if we use the citric acid, it have the 3 value of pKa. So
Okay, so now you think, okay, so this one like over than 3.14 and over than 4.77, okay, so it's now you think about this one, most likely, okay, this one over, so most likely 2 groups, 2 carboxyl group in the citric acid already be dissociated. Understand?
yes.
Mm-hmm. So if you got like the pH of like example like 3 point something, okay, in between here, so that like this group, okay, the first group of the first carboxyl group of the citric acid will be dissociated. Okay, but here like 5, just mean that over than even like the second pKa. So that like 2 groups be dissociated. Only the third group they can maintain. Okay, so in that case, let's acid. Okay, because they compound more ions. Okay? Understand, right?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Continue. Any question, guys? Okay, so later on, if you guys working for the company, okay, or you guys working for like you open your own business, and then it's not we not pick the acid based on luck, okay, we based on the scientific of the BKA. Okay, we can like predict which one effective and which one not effective, and then you guys can suggest for the company, okay, please buy this one and try for the reservation. Okay, so you guys can, you know, based on the scientific, and you can predict, okay, effective. On good? Continue, okay? Okay, food reservation with the acids, try to control all the bacteria. So the food, they got the pH less than 4.5, okay, it means that like they already less than 4.6, okay, pose no public health risk because like no pathogens grow. So too low for the Clostridium botulinum and almost other pathogens. So it means that like when we apply, we already got the food that less than 4.6, okay, and now they say that 4.5, okay, this one should be, okay, according to the FDA, US FDA should be 4.6, okay, so that's too low for the Clostridium botulinum. This one very, very, you know, like very scary. So that like any treatment we should care about the Clostridium botulinum because their toxin is very toxic. Okay, it's highly potent, and then they can cause for the death if they got a food poisoning. So we care about the Clostridium botulinum much. Okay. So any acid can be used to achieve this pH level. So we can apply. Okay? We should be in the legal limit, okay, to understand the legal limit. So you guys have the coarse food additive, and you guys know the coarse food additive, have that course, okay.
Yes, teacher.
So the food additive, okay, they can like, you know, recommend for you guys the website, okay, of the international using of the GECFA of the WHO of the FAO, okay, sorry, FAO. So they recommend you like what the limit used in the food, okay. In Vietnam we have like already like renewed for the circular 2019, okay. We also like follow the FAO recommendation regarding to the food additive, okay. So you can like using any of them, okay, with the legal limits. You can using acid to control for the yeast and the mold. They can inhibit it by the weak organic acid adjust to the low pH. Okay. You change pH alone is not like little effects because pH. You see that the pH range of the mold and the yeast is a wide range or narrow. And you see that if you adjust less than 3, okay, less than 4.6, they still can grow or not?
They still can grow.
Yeah, they still can grow. Previously, we got the slide, okay, 4.6, but then like you see that the mold and the yeast, they still, you know, further lower, okay. The yeast even like around 2, they still can grow. Okay. So you change the pH first, and after that apply for the weak acid, and then you can inhibit them. Okay. So effects of the water activities. So regarding to like like the pH value, any question? Okay. So the big concept in like using the weak acid for the reservation. So I hope that you guys understand. Okay. So it's quite important. Any question, guys? So far. No? So then we can continue, okay? So we talk about the second part, that the effects of the water activity. Okay, so think about the water in the food. Okay, I believe that you guys already done food chemistry, okay? Food biochemistry. So the water in the food, they available in how many forms? In how many forms, guys? The water?
I can say that are mainly two forms, the free water and bad water.
Yeah, that's fine, okay? So the free water and the bad water, okay? So do you think which part of the water they can like refer for role of the microorganisms? Free water or bad water?
Free water, teacher.
Yeah, the free water. The free water is mean that referred by the microorganisms, okay? And how much the free water inside the food they determine for the water activity, okay? They can determine by the water activity. So all organisms they need water. Too much or too little of the water is detrimental for them. It means that harmful for them. Okay. So because they can affect on the tuber pressure inside. Okay. So they can like call for the water efflux. Okay. For loss of the water, or they call the water influx. It means they take in the water. Okay. To change the cell state. Okay. So the water activity important for predict the microbial growth. Example here, survival less affected, but then the growth is more affected. Okay. So if you try to control for the role, and then like in combination with the pH, we can like using the water activity adjustment. So the water activity refers to the water available to organisms. Okay, so your friends already mentioned about that, the free water in the food. Okay, so the total of the water in the food is not like the case for the considering, but then like the bar water and how much the bar water and how much the free water. So they reflect by the water activity value AW. Okay. So the water contains, okay, that the total water in the food and beverages. So we have several types of the different, okay, but they got like the same water content. Water activity different. Example, the ratio of the bar water and the free water, okay, it depends on how much of them they binding to the substance present. Example here is got like 15% in total water contained. Okay. Very similar for all of the three products. We got the starch, we got the fruit, and we got the meat. Okay. So for the starch, so the water activity only like 0.4.5. But the fruit, that's 0.63. Okay, and the meat, that's 0.86. See, so the way that like the food material they binding to the water that different. So can you guys guess in these three products? Okay, so which one is higher in the free water for microbial growth? The meat, the fruit, or the starch? Understand about this one, guys? So you guys seem very quiet.
I think it's in the meat because it has the highest water activity.
Yes, even like total like 15% water, but then they say that the meat is very high in their water activity. It means like reflect for the very high of the free water available in the meat. Okay. So and then you can predict for the growth of the microorganism on the food. Okay. So the meat subject to more raw. Okay. So the fruit is less and the starch is very less lightweight. Okay. Understand, right? Okay, so think about the water activity, the same value 0.9. Okay, 0.9. But then you see that like in the fruit, they're containing for 34% of the water. Okay, and the starch only 23% of the water. And the meat 17% of the water. What does it mean? It means that the total water in a food, okay, the total water in the food actually not determined for the water activity. Okay. Okay, so when you guys think about the water activity, so think about how much free water, okay, and then it preferred by the microorganisms. Okay, just simple like that. Okay. It seems like you guys a little bit quiet. Okay. So you want to 3 minutes break?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so 3 minutes break, okay? And then we come back.
Teacher, I have a question
Yes.
related to the previous part. So,
Yeah.
as you mentioned about the 4.6 pH value,
Yeah.
so I see that even below that range of pH, the mold, the yeast, the bacteria still can grow.
Yes.
So, what do you mean actually by the value 4.6?
Okay, so 4.6 mean like below this one, no pathogens. Okay, even this one, mold, yeast, and bacteria can grow, but all of them should be in the spoilage form. It not cause the disease.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you,
Okay.
teacher.
Yeah, they can call for the change in the food, but then not cause the disease. Okay, so don't worry much about like you got food poisoning. Okay. Yep. Wait.
Okay, thanks. So, when we assume the high acid food is maybe free in the food
Pathogens.
poisoning
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
Okay, teacher.
They are very important. Keep in your mind. Okay. So this one very good concept. So if like like the Minh Chay before, if they know about the concept, okay, and I believe that like no food poisoning occur, okay, because we cause about like pathogens, and that reason why right now also like a lot of food, okay, they use the acid in their product, okay, and to acidify the food, so the food itself don't have much in the acid content, but then after processing, so the producer they add more acid in, so that they can like increase in the acidity and then lower the pH into the range where the no pathogens can grow. Okay, and not worry much about like food poisoning. And in that case, just caring about like food preservation. Okay, how keep the shelf life longer for safe or can commercialize. Okay, wait.
Okay, teacher, I get it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. So we get the break for a few minutes, okay? And then we can come back. Okay, guys? See you in 3 minutes. Okay, guys, should we come back? Okay, so that we can finish the lecture. So you guys still there?
Yes,
Yes, teacher.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so
Hello, xin lỗi.
okay, just a moment, okay.
Ngon ăn cái gì vậy?
Ăn cơm,
Cơm cái gì vậy?
cơm bà chín.
Rau.
Dạ.
Có gì ngon hơn? Cơm trứng được. Còn gì ngon hơn? Cơm trứng gì?
Bà chín con dai rồi.
Nó muốn thật luôn hết.
Sorry guys, just wait for a few minutes, okay, I'll be back soon.
Ăn mới con miếng à, chưa cắn hết miếng thịt. Rau phê sữa ha.
Thế lại. Em ăn cơm của chị. Đưa lấy đi.
Ủa nhớ hết phê sữa người ta.
Lấy cà phê đen chế sữa vô.
Mày vậy đó.
Vaccine gì vậy mẹ? Học đông hả?
Chưa.
Mở cam lên. Mở cam lên. Rồi rớt kìa. Đừng chỉ mở cam gì không? Còn hả? Còn hả? Còn mở
Sao phòng này nó quay vòng vòng vậy?
thì anh quay quá anh chi? Dạ, đi ngồi còn phải học toán xong rồi còn học lý xong rồi còn phải học ở trường rồi học ở trường sao rồi còn phải học
Đang học môn gì vậy?
tình.
Okay, sorry guys. So we come back. Okay, so we're back on the relationship between like the water and the water activity. Okay, water contained and water activities. Okay, have a look on the graph here. So when you got like the food with the certain of the water activity, and then you put in the environment, okay, and they can call for the absorption or desorption. Okay, it depends on how much of the water inside the food. Okay, example here. If you got the food very dry, okay, very dry, it's in low water activity, okay, and then you put in the environment, so they can cause for the absorption of the water. It means they add the water to the dry food. Okay, if you got like the food maybe very high contain in the water, and then you put in the outside environment, they can like remove the water from the food to kind of desorption. Okay, in that case, where you got like the food, they can evaporate the water. Okay, so they can the absorption and desorption, they can change the water activity of the food. Okay, so and this one like whatever when they study about the reservation, especially for those low water activity, and then we think about like the absorption or desorption in the certain environment that we put the food in. Calculation of the water activity, we got like several methods, but then here see that the first one is based on the solute concentration. So if we got the water activity equal to the molarity of the water and the molarity of the water and of the solute, okay. But then think about the system that will have like multiple solute. Food system, we don't have like only single one. We have like a lot of components. So based on this equation unlikely we can determine exactly water activity because we don't know the molarity of all solutes. Okay. So if we think about like 1 molar of the solute, all right, and then we got like the water activity equal to 0.98. Okay, sorry, not 98. Okay. So a food mixture of many solutes, so almost impossible to quantify all the solutes in the given food. So we cannot use this method. So some solute bind to water more effectively than others, even the same 1 molar, even the same 1 molar. But then like the water binding capacity that also different. Okay. Example: if the 1 molar of the sodium chloride, okay, they generate for the water activity 0.97. Okay, and this one like 1 molar of the sucrose, and the water activity generated by 0.98. It means that the capacity of binding of the water of the sodium chloride should be higher than the in sucrose. Okay, and after that, like they generate for less water activity in case that we're using the sodium chloride. Okay, so another method we can use to quantify for the water activity is the measurement of the humidity. Okay, so the water activity equal to the vapor pressure in the food divided for the water vapor pressure of the water, pure water. Okay, so it means that like you need to measure how much the vapor generated by the food and divide by the water, the pure water. Okay, and then we got like equilibrium relative humidity. We got already equipment to measure, ready to measure for the relative humidity, and then we divide by 100. Okay. So to get the equilibrium state, you need to put the sample, okay, in the equilibrium chamber, so that they can generate for the stable relative humidity. So normally, what you can do is that like you got like the food product to put in the bottom, okay, and they generate for the pressure of the vapor here. Okay. It depends on how much the water inside the food, okay, the free water, and then how much of them they can evaporate into the vapor. Okay, and then the pressure in this area that different from the different kinds of the foods. And after that, we can apply for the rock. We can measure the humidity. Okay, we can insert here, and then we can measure. So by that way, we can measure for the vapor pressure of the food, and then we divide by 100, and that's the water activity value. Okay. Nowadays they have like the equipment. Okay, they can measure well. You just put the food inside the chamber here. They can measure in like few minutes, maybe like around 5 minutes. Then we got like the value very soon. So the freeze and not by water contribute to the vapor pressure. Okay, keep in your mind. Only in here. Okay, the free water only. So in the theory, okay, so theoretical scale of the water activity should be about 0 to 1. Okay, in the pure water should be equal to 1. So the biological, they can relevant to the scale. Okay, so significant scale that like apply for the biological system is that like scale from 0.6 to 0.999. Okay, near the almost the water pure. Okay, nothing rose at the water activity less than 0.6. Okay, in the physiological saline, saline? Physiological saline, saline?
Is it a salt solution?
Yes, salt solution. How many percent in there? How many percent of sodium chloride?
3,30
I think it's 70%.
No, that only 0.9%. 0.9%.
Oh,
Okay, that's very less. In the salinity mean that you see that in our physical blood, okay, physiological saline, like in the in the tear in the blood, okay, when you see that like not much, very salty, and 0.9%, okay, in the sodium chloride. So keep in your mind, okay? So nothing raw at water activity less than 0.6 and very limited if they less than 0.86, okay? So we talk about this one.
16 mốt chia
Water
5
activity and the raw. So most microorganisms, they can best
16
grow at
mốt
like
5 là bằng
0.97 to 0.99.
3 phơ bằng
Okay,
3.
0.99. So microwaves differ in respect to their water activity minimum for growth. It means that the group of the molds that different from the yeast and different from the bacteria, okay, and that different for the growth. Even like the bacteria, also they different in the groups. Also they can like like respond differently to the water activity. Pseudomonase around like 0.97. This one generate for like slime in the food spoilage. Okay, so gram-negative bacteria around 0.93. That minimum. Okay, so less than this will not grow. 0.85. That most gram-positive bacteria. Okay, so 0.7 mold and yeast. Okay, mold and yeast. They require for at least like 0.7. Bacteria, halophil, the love. Halophil means the love souls, okay? Or the osmophilic yeast and saccharophilic molds. This one they can like they can tolerance into very low in their water activity, so 0.6. Less than this one, almost not raw. Okay. So think about this one, okay? And then like later on, you guys need to, if you got like certain type of the food and with the certain of the water activity, and you can guess okay what group of the microwaves they can grow. So the row limit for the species depends on several factors. Example, first, the nature of the solute used in to achieve low water activity. Okay. The second one, the physiological state of the cell. Okay. Like in the good state of the exponential or the stationary phase or the spore. Row condition, example like available of the oxygen and the nutrients or not. Compatible solute. Okay, so sometimes bacteria or the microwave is not harmful. Okay, so when you try to maintain their role, okay, so example like some like like a benefit, the beneficial microwaves, we can like maintain the role. How can we do that? Because we know like water activity can affect on their role. Okay, so we got the concept of compatible solute. Compatible is mean that you apply the solute. When we apply the solute, most likely we can reduce the water activity, right? But they got some compatible solute that they got the special effect, okay? Very special. They're gonna osmolyte like the electrolyte. Okay, so we increase the intracellular osmolarity. So they increase the intracellular osmolarity means it can resistant into more lower in the water activity. Okay? So, but yes, okay, but compatible with the cell function. So they can accumulate
Công tử
up
gì đâu
to
là
the
muốn
concentration
chết.
of the molar concentration. Okay. polar, but they do not carry nature, okay, at the physiological pH. Polar, what does it mean, polar, guys? Polar, they form ions or not? Polar or non-polar, you still remember the concept? Polar and non-polar.
Yes, teacher.
So the polar, they love water or they love fat?
Oh, they love water.
Yeah, they love water. So they form more ions. Okay, so they got the polar, okay, high polar, but then like the net charge, which means the on the compound, okay, it's not much in the, they not contain for any in the charge, okay, in the physiological state. So limited for only few compounds, okay, like the glutamate prolines, that in case of one group of the amino acid, glycine, betaine, or carnitine, okay, sucrose and trehalose, group of the sugars. This one I demonstrate for the structure, molecular structure of the trehalose and glycine, betaine. Okay, so this one I already explained for you. So when we apply the compatible solute, so we can like reduce for the state of like water influx or water efflux, okay, in case of here or here. So we maintain the state here. That's a good state for the rock. So the compatible solute, they can get in to modulate for the pressure inside. Or sometimes they can pass through outside, okay, to modulate for the osmolarity. Okay, so the water activity effects on the survival. So the water activity role on role, okay, you already know, right? So that like if we reduce into like less than the water activity, that minimum for that role, we can inhibit their role, okay. But here, talk about survival. The survival. So you guys think we can reduce the water activity and we can increase in resistance to the lethal treatment. Okay, this concept is very important. Okay, so if you treat the food, okay, with the water activity very low, and then that's totally different from the water activity high food. Okay. So that's like because the microbes in there resistant to the death. Okay. We know the concept, and then if you do the treatment for reservation, you also can apply. Okay. Example here, it says that the freeze-drying reservation of bacterial culture. So the bacterial culture be freeze-drying. 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 Have you ever heard about this one?
Yes, teacher. We apply the high pressure to evaporate the water at very low temperature in the ice form.
Okay, so low pressure in the vacuum. In the vacuum.
Low pressure.
Yeah,
Yes.
low vacuum.
Low pressure.
Yeah, high vacuum, low pressure. Okay, so the ice, okay, the ice they transfer directly from the ice crystal to the vapor. It not like go to the liquid phase. So that like under the very high vacuum, okay, and the low temperature. So they can like sublimation. Sublimation is mean that they change from the crystal directly to the vapor. So we can apply for the freeze-dry or the freeze-drying culture. Okay, most likely when you receive for the culture and then in the powder form. So they already prepare in the way that like freeze-drying. Okay, so the freeze-drying make the product is low water activity or high water activity. So you guys think low or high?
Very low
very,
productivity.
very low. Yeah. And we know the concept that very low, they can resistant to the death.
Cưng nhỉ.
Okay, so that they survive more. They can survive more, so that like when we resuscitate them, can regrow them again. Okay, so they can grow well. Okay, so that the concept that we can make the culture.
Nịnh lắm, heo nịnh mẹ hoài.
But be careful when we apply for the food reservation for the treatment. That also the problem. Okay, why that
nó
problem?
biết nấu
Example
món
here.
thích là nó trong
In the
bếp
case
luôn
of the
kìa.
salmonella in peanut butter, the peanut butter.
Nó ngồi nó canh.
So got like
bột rồi nó biết
outbreak
đi.
of the peanut
Không,
butter.
nó ngồi nó hoài luôn kìa.
Food poisoning caused by the
salmonella.
salmonella.
Thấy nó trong bếp không?
They say that the sanitation condition blamed for the introduction of salmonella into the peanut and paste and the milk. So they got like butter, the paste, and different kinds of products from the peanut. But then the concept here, the water activity of the peanut butter is only 0.35. Okay, so when very low water activity like this, okay, so do you think if you try to kill the salmonella, okay, is it easy or very hard? Okay, question once again. You know the peanut butter very low in the water activity. Okay, so in the very low water activity like this, so salmonella is survive, increase in the survival or decrease in the survival?
Increase in the survival.
Yeah, increase in the survival. It means that the treatment right now is not very easy. Okay, not very easy. And further observe for this problem, we see that like if the water activity around like 0.99, okay, it means that we reduce in the 5 log scale. Okay, 5 log scale means like reduce how many D, guys? 5D. Okay, at 140 degrees Fahrenheit, only less than 5 minutes. Okay, but the water activity is reduced to 0.85.
Khi đem một thang nó cắm một thang nó lôi liền. Bữa hôm nó lôi một thang 8 nút ghế luôn.
You see now they keep the same, okay, the same the heat treatment, but now the stain in the time because low water activity more resistant to the death. Okay, so they maintain the high survival. Okay, so just think about like this one. So more heat resistant in fried food products, okay? And then high fat further increase the heat tolerance. So unlikely, okay, unlucky that like in the peanut butter, that low water activity also high fat, okay, high in oil. So in this case, make the salmonella is survive more in peanut butter.
Ở bên mợ Tư là mợ Tư đi chợ về cho dì Hường nấu hả?
That interesting point. So you think that like later on maybe like you got like the water activity okay, very low, okay? And then you think about okay, so what if the water activity very low but then the food containing for the pathogens?
Cậu Tư cũng ăn mấy cái món dân dã.
So we need to deal with the pathogens in that state. So you cannot like apply in the normal state. Okay, so the water activity protection from the lethal treatment it depends on the species, the strain differences. So it's not like the same. Okay, so salmonella different from the E. coli from other species. The physiological state of the cell more resistant when the state of the stationary place. The composition of the food matrix we already mentioned, right? The fat, the matrix, and other environmental parameters. Okay, some example here. We compare the water activity tolerance to the
Chắc cũng
microphase
dễ ăn vậy không?
sum of the water activity of food. Clostridium botulinum. So germination like 0.9, pseudomonas, bacillus aureus. These group like like pathogens.
Bị dính chiêu
A
cổ
lot
lần
of
nào
pathogens
chứ.
in there. Some are like E. coli, Enterobacter,
Người chửi đó.
Clostridium perfringens. Okay. Some of them like belong to the group of anaerobes, also like different in the water activity for their growth. So the squalid molds develop halophilic bacteria.
Đã bị ông chửi
Halophilic
hoài.
means the love. Saccharophilic. This one osmophilic yeast. The groups they can resist into very low water activity. Okay, less than 0.8 is still okay. Especially for the osmophilic yeast, they can resistant to the low osmolarity inside the cell. Okay, so 0.6. Example in the food, okay, and they can classify into different categories. Okay. Example over 0.9, so we've got the fresh fruit beverages, canned vegetable and canned fruit and light syrup. In here, example. So if you got like the fruit in the group of over 0.98, okay, so can you guys
Mà lúc mà ông
indicate
chuyện làm
any
ổng bộ
pathogens they can grow in here?
Chuyện là quá cũng mệt cũng chửi mà. Chửi dữ lắm.
Okay, have a look here. See this one?
Ơi.
Almost. Okay, this one like they need more than okay 0.6. So this one over 0.98, which
Yên
means
lặng là không cần.
almost of these can grow. Okay. So a lot of them they pathogens. So this group is very carefully when handling. Okay. They got the water activity 0.93 to 0.98. Okay, you got some products here. This one also like in the range of a lot of pathogens that can grow. From 0.85 to 0.93, they got the dry sources, ham, egg, cheese, and sweetened condensed milk. Okay, so have a look here. So in this group, okay, so do you guys think what kind of the microorganism we can grow?
Chọn cầu
In this group,
cái nấm
0.85 to 0.93. So the yeast can grow? The yeast can grow on this?
I think yes.
Yes, because they just require only 0.88. This one like in the range, okay, within the range. Okay. 0.6 to 0.85. So this one like got the flour, cereal, jams, and jellies, nuts, and some cheese, heavily salted food, dried fruit. Okay. Even like here, 0.6 to 0.85. 6 to 85 means this group. Okay. This group can grow. Less than 0.6, you got the chocolate, honey, noodles, biscuit, potato, and dry milk. Milk powder. Yeah.
Ai đang nói vậy?
Milk powder. So this one like almost like we can like we serve the food like long. Okay, so in this case, you guys like think that the shelf life of these is quite long. They not care much about like the growth of the microorganisms. Okay, some caution like you guys think that this one like the food. Okay, indication when the homogeneous. Homogeneous it means that like the food containing consistent in the components. Okay, if they're not consistent in the components, it means that each part of the food they still have different in the water activity. Okay. So example here. Okay, so here they recommend for you guys. So for the Staphylococcus aureus, we got like even like different in the anaerobes and aerobes. They also like different in the requirement in the minimum in the
Thôi
water
chị Loan,
activity
chạy
for the
xuống bếp
growth.
của tủ lạnh lấy giùm em cái hộp sữa.
We talk about like in the
Đi giùm em.
food system.
Để mà được.
Okay, so we can limit it for role of the microorganism in the low water activity. Okay, but when we lower the water activity, it not mean that like lower the survival. The case that like we already know, it means that like the water activity is less, more resistant to the death. It means higher in the survival. So the high water activity may reduce the survival. Okay, so the encourage for the role. In that case, we can easier to kill them, easier to inactivate them. Okay, so that's the concept open for you guys. When you got the food, okay, you got the food in high the water activity. Okay, so the role is good for the role, but then the survival is reduced. So if you try to apply for the any restoration stage, so this one should be effective compared to the very low in water activity. So water activity can like a difference in between the food. Okay, example here in the burger. Okay, maybe like the water activity in the bread. Okay, here and water activity inside of the bacon also different. So that's different. Chocolate. If inside the chocolate we have like outside of the sugar. Okay, but inside is the liquid chocolate. That's also different in the water activity. Okay, apply for the food preservation. What it is, guys? What it is in this food?
I think it's like a smoked fish or
That's
fried fish.
yeah, smoked fish. Smoked fish. Okay. So we got like in Mộc Châu, right? You still remember in Mộc Châu? What the special product in Mộc Châu? Smoked.
I remember it's called that Joe get made like the buffalo meat
Yeah.
they use on they hang it out at the kitchen to smoke them with the smoke from
Yes.
their daily life.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So in Vietnam we got like very special, right? Buffalo beef in Mộc Châu, right? Smoke. So drying and freeze drying, so they got like the water activity less than 0.6. That's nice for restoration. Okay. So intermediate, it means that like they contain certain of the moisture contained in there. So they got like 0.6 to 0.85. We got the salt or sugar. Blending low water activity ingredients. Okay, we can blend with. This means that like if we're using these, okay, we blend with the high water activity ingredients, and after that we can reduce for the water activity ingredients. Okay. So what it is? That the fruit jam. Okay, so a lot of sugar in there. So a lot of sugar in there. So no worries much about bacteria growth, okay, but then like the mold can grow. Okay. So we can each kind of food we should check, like the reservation is different. Do you guys think this one? You know this one? What kind of this food? Nut bar. Have you heard about this one? So the nut bar, okay? With low water activity. Okay. Low water activity. But think about like peanut butter, okay? The case of peanut butter. So this one like normally like very safe, but then like if available of the pathogens in here, that's the problem. So some of them like we add the humectants, okay? We add the humectants to the food to make like the intermediate moisture contained food, okay? The compound that can bind to the water very effectively and for low water activity, okay? But do not make the food become very dry. That's the case. So we can make certain of the food to become like propylene glycol or glycerol or sorbitol protein pyrolysis. You can apply in, okay, without creating the sensation of the dryness. Which means that like when you bite the cake, you feel okay, even like low water activity, but you not losing in the mouthfeel of like not very dry. Okay, and that reason why like you guys think, for certain type of the bread, okay, even like you see that the outer layer sometimes it's more likely like fat soluble. Okay? So you see that a little bit like greasy on the surface of certain type of the cake, okay? Because of, like they try to lower water activity, okay, but then the sensation of dryness is don't not available in there. So the food is still okay for consumption. Okay, I think that's the end of the slide for this chapter. Okay. So any question, guys, so far? Okay, so for this chapter, so you guys think about very big concept in the low pH, Anderson-Hansberg equation,
chuột
and environment pH value, and the acidity of the food. Okay, the B, and then you can apply for the BKA of certain type of the organic acid for reservation and effect on the microbial cell. Okay, when lower in the internal pH. So you guys should review and understanding the mechanism. Okay, that's the first part. Which means that you can apply later on. Okay, you can apply any of the organic acid when you understand the functionality. Okay. And then in the second part, we talk about the water activity. So the water activity can affect on the role of the microorganism. So lower of the water activity, they can lower growth of the microorganisms. But then it not mean that it's not necessary to reduce the survival. In some cases, okay, the reduce in water activity, they increase in the survival. So just think about when we treat the food, okay, when we treat the food in the low state of the water activity or the high water activity, that differently. Okay, each kind of the microorganisms, they can refer to the minimum amount of the water differently. Okay, and then you guys can based on the behavior of the microorganism, and then you can pick the certain range of the water activity for further inhibition them. Okay, so one importance is that we should understand the combination of the acid, okay, and also the water activity. So in the US FDA, okay, US FDA, they care much about the pH when the pH value of the food over 4.6. Okay, they consider as the low acid food. Okay, in that case, they need to be acidified or they need to be treated in the proper way for safety. Okay, and for the water activity, we say that if any of food over 0.85, okay, onshore, subject to grow for the pathogens. So that's also dangerous if we're not handling the food in the proper way. Okay. Okay, so any question, guys, so far?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, could you please explain again the compatible solute and osmotic strength? I didn't catch it.
Here, this line, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the compatible solute is mean that they can freely go inside and outside of the cell. Okay. Compatible solute is mean we assist for the growth of the bacteria or the growth of the beneficial microorganism. Okay, that's why we need to accelerate their growth. Which means that if they too much or too less of the water can like effect on the cell. Is it right? So we try to maintain the stay. Not like lost the water or they not like get much the water inside. Okay, by using the compatible solute. So the compatible solutes mean they can bind with the water. Okay, so when they move in or move out, so they can like extract the water with them. Okay, example. So when they got the hyper is mean high or low.
High.
Yeah, high osmotic environments. It means the most likely the water it will go out. Is it right? The water will go out. Efflux.
Yes.
Yes. So in that case, if we got available of the compatible solute, okay, we got compatible solute. So the solute they can move in from outside to inside. So when they move, they extract the water inside. Okay. So by that way, the water move with them. Okay. And then like less likely the cell will lose the water. Understand? So they can maintain the water inside the cell. Okay. So in the hypoosmotic, it means like water. Okay, loss of water. So most likely the water they go in. Is it right? Okay, and now the compatible solute they can move out. So when they move out, they extract the water, move with them. So lower the inner water. Okay, and then they maintain the good state of the cell. Understand about this one? Yi?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose is to maintain the water in the cell, right?
Yeah. We try to maintain the sugar pressure, so the good state for the cell. That's the reason why I say the compatible.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question, guys? Okay, so if you don't have any other questions, so I just want to discuss with you a little bit on your midterm exam. Most likely you got the midterm exam and you got like several formation of the format of the exam. Okay, so you guys know about on the formation of the exams, the midterm exam.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's very less likely that you guys have like the multiple choice question. Okay, it's less likely. Okay. More likely you guys will have like the discussion question. It means like the answer question in the long writing. Okay. So I considering like make it available online within the time frame. Okay, like less than 100 minutes, or I can give you in case of individual assignment. Okay, like the individual assignment, and then like maybe lasting for few days for you guys to prepare and submit back. So which one do you guys think that convenient for you guys?
I think this assignment.
Assignment, the second one. Okay. That also like like easy to control. Okay, so we not care much about like technical issue. Okay, on the online testing. So we just rely on the blackboard. Okay, for making the assessment only. Okay, so in that case, it is easy for you guys. Okay. Um. Okay, so I think yeah, but most likely you have like the second um, format. This means like should be the assignment. Okay. I will considering about that question, and then I assign for the question for you guys. Okay.
Teacher,
Yeah.
can I have a question?
Sure.
About the water activity, the minimum amount or minimum value of water activity of microorganism in your slide. So that value is for the survival or for the growth of the.
Minimum. You mean?
Yes, the minimum water activity value, but I don't know that is the minimum value for the growth of that microorganism or for the survival.
I move on that slide. Which slide number you still remember? Ah, I got this one. That we talk about the road. Okay. That we talk about the road.
The growth
mean,
rate.
yes.
So we don't expect the information about the survival of the microorganism in that.
Here, if they minimum row, it means that like example like in the example gram negative bacteria. Okay. So if less than 0.93, it's not row, but not mean that the survival they not available. Okay. So gram negative may still in there. Okay. Example, another example is that like the gram positive bacteria like 0.85. Okay, 0.85 means that like if less than 0.85, so no row. But then if they are available already in the food, okay, so the survival is still there. They still alive, but they not grow. Understand? In case of like example like the Clostridium botulinum in the peanut butter, when we got like water activity is like 0.35. So they not grow, guys. They not grow, okay? But they maintain the survival. And then like if we eat the food containing for the survival bacteria, so they can